Lucifer, a name that echoes through centuries, whispered in shadows, feared in sermons and blamed in silence. For some, he is the embodiment of all evil, the corrupter, the deceiver, the enemy of heaven. For others, he's something different, a misunderstood archetype, demonized by religious evolution and theological error. But what if he's something else entirely? Not merely a fallen angel or a symbolic rebel, but the pivot of the final act of humanity, not the villain, not the savior. Something in between. Because buried deep in ancient scriptures, distorted translations, and forbidden apocryphal texts, there exists a version of Lucifer that defies everything we've been told. A being not just cast down, but cast aside, because his role isn't over. If you're drawn to biblical mysteries, forgotten origins, and stories that challenge what's been canonized, then follow closely. Because this isn't about how Lucifer fell. It's about why he might return. Long before he was feared, he was revered. Lucifer, from the Latin luxfere, the light-bearer. In ancient Rome, it was a term for the morning star, the planet Venus, a celestial body that appears brightest right before dawn, only to vanish in the rising sun. But language changes, and names, once symbols, become myths. In Christian tradition, Lucifer became more than a planet. He was imagined as the most beautiful of angels, the archangel of light, music, and wisdom, a being who walked among firestones in the garden of God, perfect until pride took root. Ezekiel 28 speaks of this figure, adored with jewels, placed on a holy mountain, only to fall through violence and corruption. But was this truly about an angel? Some scholars say no. That was a lament for the king of Tyre, metaphorical, poetic, not literal. Yet over time, the imagery merged. The king of Tyre became the fallen angel. The Latin Lucifer, introduced in Isaiah, became a person, and once personified, he could be blamed for the fall of Adam, for the rise of evil, for every shadow in the human soul. But this is not where the story begins, and it's certainly not where it ends. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Isaiah 14 verse 12, King James Version. But that's not what the Hebrew says. The original term is Hello Ben Shakar, shining one, son of the dawn, likely referring to a mortal king, arrogant, prideful, soon to be overthrown. St. Jerome's translation into Latin replaced Hello with Lucifer, the Roman term for the morning star. And that single translation error birthed centuries of theology, because once Lucifer entered the Bible, he was no longer a poetic insult. He was a character, a myth, a devil. The church, hungry for order and hierarchy, absorbed this figure into its narrative. Lucifer became Satan. Satan became the devil. The adversary gained a name and a story. But it all began with one verse, misunderstood. One star, falling. And isn't it curious how many stories begin with a fall? In Hebrew, Satan is not a name. It's a role. Ha-Satan, the accuser. In the book of Job, Satan walks among the heavenly council, not in rebellion, but in service. He proposes a test. God allows it, and Job suffers. But here, Satan is not evil. He's a divine prosecutor, exposing flaws to refine faith. He operates under permission, not rebellion. So where does that leave Lucifer? If Satan is a role, could Lucifer be a title too? Some mystics suggest Lucifer was never the devil, but something older, a symbol of light and knowledge, an archetype that predates Christianity, found in every mythos. Prometheus, who defied the gods to bring fire to man. Enki, the Sumerian god who gifted forbidden knowledge. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent who brought learning to earth. Phosphorus, the Greek morning star, twin to Hesperus, the evening one. In all these myths, the bringer of light is punished. Maybe Lucifer was never evil. Maybe he was just early. Revelation 12, a dragon falls from heaven. He takes a third of the stars with him. He is the ancient serpent, the devil. But is this Lucifer? Or another role, another symbol, folded into a single cosmic figure? The book of Revelation is written in code, layered, symbolic, apocalyptic. Its battles are not battles of flesh, but of cycles, judgment, and restoration. The fall of the dragon echoes the fall of Babylon, the harlot and the beast, the sealed scroll and the 7 trumpets. In this chaos, Lucifer may not be a villain. He may be a trigger, the one who must fall so that the world resets. In Kabbalah, it is said, the vessel must shatter for the light to emerge. What if Lucifer's role is not to destroy, but to break what was never pure, to reveal what was always hidden? Perhaps the end isn't a punishment, but a return to origin. We obsess over Lucifer's fall, but we ignore the idea of his rise. In apocryphal Gnostic texts, banned and buried by early councils, Lucifer is not the tempter, but the illuminator, the one who challenges blind obedience, who pushes humanity beyond Eden. The Gospel of Judas presents an inverted view. Judas as the chosen, not the traitor. Likewise, Lucifer as a revealer, not the rebel. Could his return mean not damnation, but the restoration of balance? The ancient world spoke of ages, yugas, eons, world cycles. Each begins with light, descends into chaos, and ends with a return of clarity. Lucifer, then, may not be the end. He may be the reset, a symbol of forbidden wisdom returning, a key hidden in the script, never meant to be found, until now, because maybe the real apocalypse isn't fire, isn't wrath, it's realization that we've been afraid of the wrong figure all along.